Welcome to Yoga for First Responders on Air, where we break down yoga, neuroscience, resilience, and public safety in a manner that's authentic, educational, and most importantly, entertaining and lighthearted. I'm YFFR's founder, Olivia Mead. As a yoga instructor and neuroscience enthusiast, I'm passionate about supporting first responders and anyone looking to improve their overall human performance. Each week, we'll dive into a new topic and often bring on expert guests to share their insights and experiences. But we'll also keep it real and share our own stories and struggles along the way. So whether you're a first responder or seeking to master the science of mental and physical resilience, this podcast is your ultimate guide to triumph over life's challenges with unbreakable strength and unwavering fortitude. By pressing play, your training has begun. Hi, everyone. We're back. We did a season of podcasting.
It was a thing.
It was a thing. We had a season, and now we're back to do a little debrief on our year, especially because we've kind of approached this year differently than we have in the past. And I've got to start off by saying I liked it. I liked this year.
Mm-hmm.
What about you
I
guys?
did too. Yeah. I really like the way we were able to be in person with each other and like really kind of hash out, our goals and things like that. I think it was really helpful rather than just, in the past and even with different companies, you're assigned like, give me your goals. And you're like, oh, like, it's just
Annoying.
more like yeah. And this felt very authentic to us. So,
Yeah, and I guess I say surprisingly, but we've made some big goals. And when we were all
mhm.
together at like the instructor retreat and a little bit before, we accomplished a lot of our goals.
And we're
A
going to
lot
go
of
through those
them.
goals so we can actually talk about accomplishing them and maybe strategic adaptations that we had to do. But I think the difference between goals and what we've done is you're never going to be excited about doing anything that doesn't resonate, you know?
Mhm.
So, for those who have not heard the first episode of this second season, you can go back and listen to that and kind of hear how we came to this approach of quote unquote goal setting. But it was basically to find who we were authentically as an organization. And that means that who are the the authentically the people running the organization, you know? And I think that maybe the reason goals don't resonate with people is it's like, oh, they have to do things that may not be in their zone of genius. So, what does YFFR do and do well? And let's focus on that and what we need to be happy and sustainable. So, we started by finding our authentic code.
Code.
Yes, thanks. And how this is different than core values, because they can kind of feel like a gray area, is I think core values are outward facing and authentic code is like inward facing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I look at those core values in terms of people we want to work with, how we want to be seen and represented. So part of our core values are family, grounded, respect, account, adaptability, things like that. But on the inside, when we think of how we want to operate day to day, right? We came up with impactful and accessible excellence, freedom and sustainability, innovation and tactical practicality, community and growth. So, impact and accessible excellence. To me, that is what we provide, the meat and potatoes of our service. We want it to actually make a difference and get it into the people's hands. Nothing bothers me more than an organization that, I don't know, has this big fluffy mission without any tangible impact,
Mhm.
like just
It's just
raising
like,
awareness or having a conversation. That kind
yeah, it's like what we've talked in the past. Like you tell me all these things about all the like bad shit that's going on, and then you just leave me like with nothing no tools to actually do it. And so you're left kind of wondering how the heck you're gonna deal with all that stuff. So yeah, it's really important to us to actually give those tools to the people who need it the most.
Yeah. And listen, maybe assess like raising awareness and having the conversation does resonate with folks, and that's awesome. Um, but that just wasn't for us. For us, we wanted to see the impact and we wanted people to use the tools. So where have we found this, y'all? Where have we been able to, and by the way, our goals, like our actual logistical, like goals for doing work, were all filtered through these 4 pillars of our authentic code to make sure that it would drive our motivation.
Mhm.
So I think the first one off that I'm thinking of is YFFRU for life. So what changes did we make, Eric, to get accessibility and get the tools that we're making into the hands of folks?
Yeah, we changed, in my opinion, we're changing literally the business model of resources for public safety. I mean, I was just on a phone call with another app company that is a lower cost app, but still a monthly subscription for people. It's a resource app for agencies, and we have created a platform called University for Life, or the platform's university. The model is university for life, meaning you have the option to pay for it once and you get access to it in perpetuity. Like that's,
Including updates.
yeah, I mean, that's a heck of a way to be
Mhm.
accessible for people. We just launched the mobile app version of that in the last week or so, kind of publicly in the last week for sure. And it doesn't sound like much, but we already have 85 downloads of the app, which quite frankly is more similar on par for what we had in the first platform, quite honestly. Like
Yeah.
where people are buying into this concept because we were making it accessible and it's impactful. So our online university platform, check and check.
And this goes into another one of the authentic codes, which we'll talk about in a second too. But our primary focus has been to get that digital platform up and running and very user friendly, and get everyone on that platform, including our instructors for their stuff. And
Mhm.
Jess, that's been your, focus, and you've done such a great job getting that moving forward. One of the other things to make it accessible is the code first 100. So the first 100
Mhm.
people to use the code, individuals could get lifetime access for $100.
And
And
that is still
yeah,
available. So
yeah.
we this so if anyone hears this and thinks that this would be beneficial to them or to someone else, they can go and do select the life option as an individual and use that first 100 all caps for first and get the platform for only $100. And so the price will eventually be, you'll see is I think we're putting it at 497, I believe, is what we valued it at,
Yeah,
which
at some
yeah.
point it'll be a $500 purchase, which still lifetime
Hmm.
access to a platform.
For
Like
It's
$500.
huge.
still,
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
lifetime
Yeah.
accesses I see of platforms I love are like
Yeah.
$1,500. And for me, I'm like, that's
Hmm.
great because
Yeah.
that's like 3 to 5 years of use, right? And then
I I think even still like 497 to me is I'm thinking about like I've paid for only one app for life. And that's the Calm app because I use it every day. I use it every night to help me fall asleep. And I believe in it, like I kept getting a notice like I was paying the monthly or annual subscription and then I got a notice that like you could do it for life. And I was like, well, duh, like
right.
like, and I think it was around like the 500 mark or something. And I was like, it didn't phase me because otherwise I was paying an annual subscription,
And also, you don't want
if
to
you're
worry about like you change credit
right,
cards or then all of a sudden you don't have
right.
access to it. Like when
Yeah.
for To Be Magnetic, which if you go back
Mm,
to our first episode this season, you'll hear that this is where we got this model from. They also have a for life subscription that I'm going to be doing, so I never have to
mm.
worry about it again. So,
which we've already probably paid for twice over.
oh,
Yeah.
I had just
Right.
done it once, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, try the code if you're listening to this first 100, see if there are any left. But that was our way to get it. Like when I would tell people about that code, like with in-person talks, I'd be like, guys, we want you to use this tool. We don't want to gatekeep it at all. We want you to use it. We, especially the first 100 is almost like the beta group. Like we want to see where we need improvement. Um, and so that's the accessible part. And then the impactful part is I think we're putting amazing content on there. It's not only our courses, but tons and tons of on-demand training and resources. 5 minutes of breath work, 45-minute yoga class, 2 live streaming classes a week. I mean, it's everything you need for your training.
Yeah, I would argue that that's probably our biggest win for the year, that we've been able to make the transition from to going to, technically we had 3 platforms we were maintaining. Now we're down to 2, which I mean, really once someone is bought into YFFR, it's just the one platform now. And so having on demand on YFFR University is like it's just such a value add, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an easy yes for
Yeah.
agencies. Like we
Hmm.
have agencies on the platform now. So we have successfully taken agencies from a quote request on our website to purchased and onboarded within 4 to 6 weeks. And so
Hmm.
anybody who's listening to this who works in a government agency knows that doesn't happen. I've been in public safety technology sales for the better part of almost a decade, as crazy as it sounds. And I've had procurements that take upwards of 2 years once in a while to get through the full procurement cycle. Most of them are 3 to 6 months. So to get it done in 4 to 6 weeks is amazing. And it shows the accessibility of this platform. And because we are giving so much value, I mean, we just loaded an agency with 1,800 personnel onto this platform. Like that's huge. That's a big deal. Like
Yeah.
And
it's a
that
big
can
deal. Like people can 1,800 like in one swoop. We gave this tool to 1,800 people uh, overnight, basically.
and that can happen. And so every year the agency can send us a roster of their new personnel. We'll load them in too. So, we want this. I think we're very good about practicing what we're preaching or walking the walk, right? We say we want this for people from recruitment through retirement, and we're making that possible for them.
Yeah, and I don't want to scare people away that it's for the large agencies only because we also have onboarded agencies with 25
Oh
people.
yeah,
So
it doesn't matter.
in fact, our very first partnership sale ever of University for Life at an agency level was a public safety agency at a university with 25 personnel. Like super cool.
So it's for anyone, for everyone, and one-time spend, regardless of if you're an agency or in person. Now, for in person, is there an option for the monthly subscription? Yes. Like if that's what you want to do, fine. But you'll also, if you do the math, it'll just be easier to just, get it done once. Um, Okay, and our poor Lisa has COVID. She's here, she's listening, and I raise your hand when you want to speak, Lisa. Eric and I had COVID a few weeks ago, so
Yeah, this strain is gnarly right now.
but
Just
It's gnarly.
it was way before the retreat, so you didn't get
No, I know. Yeah. I mean,
it.
I traveled. There was a ton of people in the airport, so whatever.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cold, but then the taste disappeared and I was like, oh, okay. I know what that is.
Mhm.
That's the
yeah.
worst part because you can't even enjoy
I can't
like
enjoy my food,
right.
The
I know. It's like,
coffee.
come on.
my
Yeah.
cacao, any of my
Yeah.
stuff.
Cow. Man, everything I want to make a shirt now that says my cacao. All right. So number two, our second pillar is freedom and sustainability. We explain this as we value financial freedom and operational independence, aiming to create a self-sustaining organization with effective systems, a happy team, and minimal stress. This includes the vision of a dedicated training space to reduce reliance on external entities. So we did start to make headway in this direction. Um, First of all, I think, what we're trying to say here, and gosh, I always feel, well, there's two things, two ways we've made this, taken steps in this direction. I I used to think that the harder I worked and the more miserable I'd be, the more successful my business would be. And I've come to realize how untrue that is, because if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, right? How that used to, that's not how it goes. Is that like if
Yes.
we aren't happy, we're not going to even want to move this mission forward. The more stressed out we are, the more we're gonna go to Thailand and just sell coconuts, and then there's no YFFR. So I think one can be happy and have space and financial freedom. And sorry, guys, money buys happiness. It does. If you have financial strains, you're not happy and everything is harder. But if you are able to find a place to have freedom financially, then you can serve everyone, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll talk about, first, well, there are two things how we move this forward. I think might be our first sort of public announcement of what we're going to be doing moving forward. And that is that we are dividing our efforts into two different operational and financial structures. Yoga for First Responders was founded as a 501(c)(3) nonprofit, and that 501(c)(3), that EIN, will remain under the name Yoga Shield, the Yoga for First Responders Foundation. And its job is going to be, I know I just said I hated this phrase, but raising awareness. But it can do things and events and fundraisers to get people access to this, to let them know there is access to it. And then also fundraising for and donors and grants for money to be able to provide anyone who wants this with this tool. That is not any of our strong suits. We discovered this when we first did this, that none of us have a strong suit in like fundraising and donor management.
No, I just did last year's. I'm way behind. I just did last year's tax return.
Okay.
Total contributions in 2024. So like from donors. You ready for this? As a nonprofit that has 2 research studies. Here, drum roll, please, everybody. $3,400.
Yeah, that's how
Are you
much.
serious?
$3,400 in donations. But
And how much of that was from like the actual people running the organization?
Or the board, yeah, or the
Or
board
the
of
board,
directors
yeah.
that's like forced to donate,
but
right?
this actually goes to the point that she's just mentioning and making.
Yeah, I knew it was low. I didn't know it was that low.
$3,400 in 2024, folks. Well done. So we
Yeah.
So to speak to that, State of the Shield, when the instructors are needing to do the quiz on that, and the first question talks about where do we get most of our money, and when they get that wrong, hopefully they'll hear this, because
Yeah.
they oftentimes will answer that question wrong, that they
Yeah,
think
it's
that
a
our
big
stuff is coming from donations.
Yeah, it's a big misconception about nonprofits, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Is that nonprofits have to be run through donations and grants, and we have proven otherwise so far.
Well, and I think that maybe the confusion was, as a nonprofit, like where should you be getting that money?
Where should you? Yeah, where should you?
Yeah, and that's not the case with us at all. Clearly, it's just not our strong suit. So we're dividing it up so we can put people on the board and running a nonprofit that is their strong suit, and that's their one focus. That was another thing. Can you imagine our focus is on developing high quality stuff and getting our name out there and all this social media and blah, 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 and all this stuff. Oh, and try to go out and, raise money. It's
yeah.
horrible, right? So
Yeah.
we're dividing it up between a nonprofit and then a public benefit corporation. So a public benefit corporation is technically a for-profit, but for the benefit of the public, but it opens up doors that are restricted with nonprofits. So we can go through other avenues to be sustainable operationally. And then the nonprofit can focus on supplemental or, funding when an agency, just doesn't have it. So that also supports the impactful and accessible excellence because we want it for everyone. But I remember I was told kind of early on when I was trying to figure out how to run a business is that nothing's ever free. So if you say, oh, I'm offering free yoga, No, it gets paid for somewhere by something. And so let's say, like, for example, right now with our 2 classes a week that we do, I'm teaching it or Josh is teaching it, and I'm teaching it under my job. So that's kind of a little different. But if it was like, someone just volunteer and teach the yoga class, it's not sustainable if they're not getting paid because they're going to be like, you know what, I can't do this anymore.
Because they're
We want
getting
to,
paid like, and it's like a negative pay almost because it's taking their time
they're
and
taking
not
their time.
finding,
Exactly. So
like,
it's
yeah,
being paid for one way or another. So
yeah.
basically, in essence, and again, this isn't a great example because me teaching these classes, I consider under my job for
Mhm.
YFFR, but essentially, if I were doing it as a, volunteer, I'm paying for it because I'm paying for it with my time.
Mhm.
And so then if we want a local business to be able to pay for it to keep it free, okay, then they're paying for it. So you think it's free, but it's actually being paid for by another entity. So just remembering that nothing's ever free. The money has to come from somewhere. So when you love work, that whether our organization is doing or another organization, you have to know that they need money to make those engines go and to keep going. So nonprofit has that word, not for profit, is exactly that. It's not for profit. I didn't start this to get rich. I started to help the public, but money still has to be involved to make it actually happen. So by splitting in essence, we get 2 strong business structures for how to bring in money and sustainability. And we're hoping that that is going to get us to a place that we're not worried about hitting zero in our bank account every quarter. Um, the other thing I want to talk about is so the last sentence says we have a vision of a dedicated training space to reduce reliance on external entities. And we've started to go in that direction. Who wants to talk about that?
It's probably domain.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say I can talk about it a little bit. So, ideally, our dream, big goal is to have our actually own training center. And we probably talked about this in that first episode of the season. But that would be like our dream. We want to be able to purchase land so that we have our own training center there. We can provide classes, we can provide instructor school, all the things in one spot. And so, because that obviously reduces our reliance on the outside things like an agency supporting us, it will decrease our cost for traveling, all those things. Right now, the way we're taking baby steps towards that is by taking our trainings and actually bringing them to HQ, which is in Albuquerque, where Eric and Olivia are. And so that is just one step towards that goal, which will, it'll take us a while to get there, but it's going to be in mind. So we're taking our in-person instructor school to Albuquerque, and that's the only place we'll be hosting in-person instructor schools for like an open instructor school. So if an agency wants to pay us to come to their agency and just do an in-person instructor school just for their agency, we'll go to them. But other than that, any open trainings, like in the past, in the past year, we were scheduled to do 4 different trainings throughout the country. They were open to civilians and first responders. And not only is it just really hard on the team, we all have families, things like that, and it also costs quite a bit of money for us to do the traveling. We have to get a house, we have to get a car, we all have flights, all those things. Not only is it that, but also like we're not getting the people in the seats for the in-person instructor schools to even support that. So it just makes sense to turn that over into like one solid place. Then people also know where to expect us, where they're going to have to travel. It's not going to be a surprise, anything like that. So, yeah,
Yeah, I actually think it'll make
yeah,
instructor schools better.
yeah.
Because with all the logistics in the background, some of the things that people don't see is trying to get spaces for some of the really cool parts of instructor school.
Mhm.
And by having it centralized or localized, we can actually force multiply that really cool stuff, and make that piece even better. For those of you that know, it's the tactical skills day is what I'm referring to. And quite honestly, like we've been having this struggle since COVID, since 2020. Like travel and training budgets have been adjusted. They've got adjusted during the 2020 COVID era. And quite frankly, we're hearing and seeing on the streets that they are still quite affected because people got used to doing online training or remote training or things like that. And so it's not that we are giving people less opportunity for instructor school. We've made another hell of a big change this year from an accessibility and impact statement with our instructor school. And so people actually have more opportunity than ever to do instructor school because of virtual instructor school,
Yeah.
the online
Yeah.
platform. So
Yeah.
Lisa, I don't want to put you on the spot with COVID, but you run the backside of that one. So that one's kind of your domain, and share some of the experiences from that, because I think that's a big shift too, as we kind of reduce the in-person, but ramp up virtual.
Well,
I
and
think
with the changes that we made initially, we wanted 200-hour
mhm.
folks only to be able to sign up. And then we realized that that really wasn't necessary and shifted over. And I'm finding, honestly, those that have like just a heart for wanting to spread the mission are the ones we're really getting in the instructor school. So you're getting first responders who, because otherwise they oftentimes didn't have a 200-hour. So
Mhm.
it opens it up to anyone. And I'm finding, honestly, again, I've said it many times, I love the beginners, the ones who have no experience. We have some other good ones that have experience, but the 200-hour certification is by no means something that needs to be part of that whole situation. We don't even require the application anymore.
I was
It's
going to
part of
say
the course.
and recently we
Yeah.
haven't even really announced this publicly, but we made the change on our website that there's not even an application process any longer. And so that's another way we're increasing that accessibility. So you don't even have to take that step to apply and get approved. If you want to sign up, you go sign up. So
Yeah, and then
yeah,
we've got that part of the coursework just so that we know a little bit more about you, because I'm not sure how many questions, I can't remember how many are on there, but
yeah.
it does give us some insight as to why what's your why, which is the whole thing. Like,
Mhm.
why do you want to do this? And I like to read the stories about why people are wanting to do this. And some people have really looked at it for a number of years before taking that plunge. And I find that fascinating. It's amazing
Mhm.
to see the heart that goes into people wanting to apply and to do this.
And I
One
think
thing we did, sorry, Olivia, I'm
I
gonna say
was
one
going to
thing we
say with
did change, and I don't know if this was changed by when we recorded the first one, but so we've been doing virtual instructor school for I think over a year now, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Because I feel like it was at the end of 2023 when we launched it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe
Um,
so.
so we're coming up on 2 years of doing the virtual instructor school. We've learned a ton of things along the way. But now, like, we've made it more accessible each time we want, made it available. But now we've also added that option of having a coach. So we
that's
know
true.
that
Yeah.
people are more successful with a virtual training, any training really, I think, that if they have someone right alongside them. And so with the general virtual instructor school course, you do have Lisa in the background supporting you, grading all your things. A lot of people think that it's all automated, but not everything is. There's a lot of hands-on assist, I suppose. So Lisa is doing a lot of that work. She's talking back and forth when there's problems or questions. Um, but we're really trying to give tools available to those trainees so that it reduces those. But then we added this option to add on to the course to have a coach. And so I think so far, I think that's been showing to be a really good add-on and helped people cross that finish line of actually completing the training and becoming a certified instructor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just noticing too that we've got about 50% of the people signing up we've got are in coaching track.
Nice. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really taking off. It's nice.
And what's cool about the coaching track is that, well, first, what I was going to say before, remind me to come back to coaching of with VIS and the application. We've never denied anyone an application. That's why we was like, why are we doing this? But the other thing that to keep in mind is when one signs up for in-person or virtual instructor school, you're paying for the training. It's tons and tons of educational information. So if you want to if you want to do this training just to be educated on your own body and how to do a practice, and you don't want to become licensed to teach, that's fine. You're not you're not paying or you're not buying the certification. You know what I mean? So that's why it really doesn't matter, the app to have someone apply anymore, because you may not be a good fit as a YFFR instructor. You're going to know
Mhm.
that as you go through the process. And if you want to be one, we'll help and coach you to get there. But what you're paying for is the hours and hours of education that you're getting, so that's something to keep in mind too. And yeah, with the coaching, especially with virtual, you guys, it is hard to discipline yourself to do virtual training, and we get that. And so the coach is there to kind of help you. This comes back to the freedom and the sustainability part, to get you to sustain this many, many long hour, like a semester's worth of material. You have a partner there to help you with it. And also, by cutting down on in-person instructor schools, we lose the talent of our squad leaders and trainers. We have about 18 squad leaders, trainers who are the trainers at instructor school. And if we're only doing 1 to 2 instructor schools a year, and that means we only need a couple, 4 max like squad leaders. What are we going to do with our amazing talent? So now we're reassigning them to be coaches for virtual instructor school, which is more sustainable on them, rather than
Mhm.
traveling and leaving their family, and keeps them engaged. So I think that was an awesome idea to put in, and I think it is working well.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, number 3 is innovation and tactical practicality. So we want science-backed training tools that meet the needs of its unique audience. So we are constantly seeking improvement and efficient methods to stay ahead. I think the coaching, VIS and coaching actually falls into this as well. We're
Yeah.
constantly looking for newer ways to prove evidence, data that proves this works, and the best way possible to um, get it into the hands of folks who need it. With innovation, I innovation's a word I really resonate, because my personality is always trying to create something that wasn't there before, and that's going
Mhm.
to do a better job
Yeah.
for us.
I keep saying stop adding things, and you're like, so
Yeah,
I
I know, I
think I
know.
have
So
this idea that we could do this. And I'm like, ah,
I know, and that's the thing, is like I'm the visionary, and then but
Yeah.
then what's good is we'll talk about this at the end, being successful in our scaling means
Mhm.
that what is in scope and what's out of scope. And
Yeah.
I think I tend to have a big idea, and then we kind of figure out if it's in scope, where is it in scope, and where to direct it. But
Yeah.
the idea of our instructor development retreat, um, and the idea the idea that I haven't gotten the green light on yet from this, but is, especially with VIS, we don't have our hands on folks as we do in
Mhm.
instructor school. But even folks in instructor school, it's like an intense 5-day boot camp. You come out of there and you're like, was that a fever dream? What did I just experience? It's a way to come back, trained instructors only. It's a smaller group, and we just revisit deeper levels of education on what we do,
Yeah.
from personal practice to being a coach, to science of breath work, and everything in between. And I think that was definitely an innovative way of doing something, and also getting CEUs their agencies want them to get, and to be better instructors for YFFR. And my next vision was doing an even smaller group, right? That's like
Mhm.
even a more intense one-on-one, but everyone seemed to get a lot out of that
I think
retreat.
so. Yeah.
Um,
And I think
and
we had not only did we like this idea that that's something we would like to do, but we also had instructors asking for it too.
Oh,
You know, they
100%.
wanted more of that style of training. And so, you know, we say retreat, but we are definitely emphasizing that word development. You know, it's not like, you know, Lisa can speak to the differences between traditional retreats and, you know, our retreat. It's still in, you know, I remember you were talking at the retreat about, you know, you were a little bit worried about where people going to think like why are you doing a retreat? That's not really YFFR, you know, type of thing to do. Like it seems a little woo-woo. But like we do it in a totally different manner, you know,
Well, and
and
also, why did we, I mean, think about it, like, why did we call it a retreat? Because
right.
it was at a retreat center.
Yeah.
You know, like that was a big
Yeah.
difference, is like instead of
Yeah.
doing it at a training facility, we're actually going to take them out into the desert of New Mexico.
Hmm.
So that's where the word retreat came from, because
Yeah.
like if we decided to do it at the training center, it would have been instructor development training,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
That's true.
So I think we were playing with that idea of like retreat because we want the idea of literally retreating from their lives, getting into a
Yeah.
space that was connected to nature because they already had the baseline of YFFR's culture.
Yeah. I think that was important because they had that baseline, but then they also needed that like that step back for themselves. And almost like
Mhm.
when you go through the YFFR training, you just see all these things that not only you want to give to others, but give to yourself too. And so it's like a reminder, you know, when you can step away and really reinforce those things for yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
And as the mission grows, as far as like the tactical practicability of our mission, it continues to grow. I mean, we continue to get asks from people in the field like, hey, it'd be nice if we had this resource, or if you could record that for us, or and so on and so forth. And so we continue to build out our index of resources for people. And so
Mhm.
we're getting more and more tactically practical. Like
Yeah.
use it for this scenario in this moment for this reason. Go.
No, that's
Mhm.
actually absolutely true. I love how specific we are, right tool for right job. And Eric's right. Everything we have in our library is because we've been asked for it. So we're about to film a or record a very quick practice for right before a debrief. Someone was
Mhm.
asking for that. Now that's going to be in our library. Use it before you debrief. Use this for this. Use that for that. So it's not just this general
Yeah, and even more
uh,
specific than that, it's not even just a general debrief. It's like for a critical incident, like
debrief. Yeah.
management debrief, like
Yeah.
peer support
Mhm.
call brief. Like use like that's how tightly specific this tool is getting for people. Like we've got great resources, and now we're becoming even more specialized for the specialized jobs in public safety. And that's really, really cool. Like we're drilling down and doubling down on it.
You know, the way wellness and resilience and stress management, all that stuff are put out in public safety, if it were with their actual tactical skills for out on the fire ground or whatever, that would not fly to have this
Mhm.
general, here's your overall tactical resources. How are you feeling that day? Do you want to do your taser or do you want to do your gun? You
Mhm.
know, no, it wouldn't be presented like that. It's these are when you use each tool. And so if we're going to take proactive resilience training seriously, you have to approach it the same way. And we're getting closer and closer to that. I just feel like we're constantly tightening and shining the diamond, you know?
It's like just because we were just talking about the coaches, it makes me think I'm like YFFR University is like a YFFR coach in your pocket, you know, like it's
Totally.
there. Yeah, they're telling you exactly what you need in that moment, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And I think that like the tactical practicality and innovation is something we've always had, but now we can actually say, no, this is us. This is our authenticity, and we're, putting
Mhm.
it out there.
And we'll have a really big announcement at the beginning of next season as we continue to advance
Hmm.
innovation. Like
Yep, that's true.
which that's another teaser for more to come, but we're continuing to push the envelope of innovation.
You know what we should do actually? Oh God, maybe we just make it like a series, like we have the quick casts, right? That was another thing,
Yeah.
guys, actually we added. I do want to
Yeah.
add to that with maybe accessible excellence or something like that, or
Hmm.
practicality, is because this is in and out. It was not practical to every week to try to deliver a long form podcast. It just wasn't. And so by doing quick casts, which are like 15 minutes or less of an idea, we were able to give out consistent content
Hmm.
that was more practical and sustainable for us on the inside. But my thought
And
is,
then it was really well received too.
yeah,
A lot of people would listen. I think more people listen to the quick cast than the long form episodes because it is more accessible. It's easier to listen to that
yeah,
short bit. Yeah.
listen to one on your way to teaching yoga and then use
Mhm.
that theme as what you're going
Yeah.
to talk about.
Yeah.
I
It's easier than people think to take a theme and embed it in, your coaching. And so what I'm thinking is this thing that Eric is hinting to, which we will do an
Mhm.
announcement in short order, is we could do a whole podcast series like Serial, um,
Mhm.
about this journey we're about to take in this one area of innovation, you know? So anyway, we'll think back on that. The last one is community and growth. So we prioritize collaboration, our team well-being, our connections, supporting a balanced and joyful work environment so that we as a team maintain resilience and creativity while making, a profound difference in public safety culture. So this is not just for our team, it's also our instructor team. So I think instructor development falls into this as well.
Mhm.
There are 3 people who did VIS who got to actually meet fellow instructors in real life and left feeling great about that.
Mhm.
Um, I think we've found a nice balance as an internal team of when I'm on, when I'm off, we have kids and when this is happening and take this off my plate. I think we found a nice harmony with that, um,
Yeah.
because we've given ourselves space to be
Permission. Yeah.
people, you know.
Yeah. I think I could definitely feel that this summer when I had kids home more often than normal. And, at first I was feeling really a little bit stressed about it. And then I, said, like, I'm just not going to be able to work on Mondays. I don't have any help that day. And it was like, it was no one's just do what you need to do. I'm still going to get my work done, of course, but it really just like gave me that permission to step away and not feel stressed about trying to do so many things at once, having all the balls in the air and not really giving anything my best. So it
And I
was
think
really
it's
nice. Yeah.
about communication. And this is something we stressed
Hmm.
at instructor development retreat. People were saying we brought up some roadblocks they were facing in, plugging in a program. And I was kind of like, why didn't you tell us? We can solve this problem.
Yeah.
So the more communication, and like even when you'd be off on Mondays, I might still write something to you on Slack, not
Hmm.
because I expect you to read it on a Monday and reply on Monday, but I
Hmm.
want to, okay, Jess needs to know this, blue, blue, blue. She will see it when she's back, and then I can
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
So just this constant, I just feel like there's this constant web of good communication flowing, which makes me feel like the wheels are not coming off of the car.
Yes.
And by having that good internal team energy, it translates to folks on the outside. And so folks from the outside, agencies, individuals, corporate partners, whatever it is, do seek us out to work with us
Yeah.
because they realize that at the end of the day, we're just, I to brag a little bit, a good organization run by good people. And people want that. Like,
And I think we're easy to work with because we do communicate, we provide people what they want. So this first line, YFFR prioritizes collaboration. We are stronger together. Eric just got off the phone with yet another app that wants our resources on it. It's always a yes and, but it could be a yes and let me check my core values. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like we're always stronger together. And so I think that's something that comes rather easy. It's funny, it's like the first two, impactful and accessible excellence and freedom and sustainability, we kind of had to like hone and figure out where to cut the fat. And then the
Yeah.
last two, innovation and tactical practicality and community and growth, we kind of were already doing, but we just needed to like name it and then,
Yeah.
make it even stronger.
Mhm.
Speaking of that, before I finish up with our organizational description, one thing that just and I did write this down somewhere, Jess, in one of our notes. So I'm going to try to find it. But another thing, and this has to do with, the organization we kind of model this after, To Be
Mhm.
Magnetic, which we've linked in the first episode of the season. But we do really look to them because they're a couple years ahead of us, right? And
Yeah.
like they just launched their book, and Jess and I are going to go on to see them on their book tour. Well, I'm currently writing the YFFR book. So in a couple
Mhm.
years, that's going to be our journey. And we've modeled
Mhm.
so much after them. And one of the things that we're modeling from them is a working calendar, an operational
Mhm.
calendar.
Let me show you what I got. Can I show you guys what I did yesterday?
Yes.
Do, do, do,
Oh,
do.
look at
That's
that. Can we all
this is
download it?
yeah. I'll send it to you. But I printed off these cute little 2026 quarterly calendar. It's all based on quarters,
Oh, I
and put
love
off
it.
our breaks and like the things, like so I was
So
really
what Jess
excited
is
about it.
showing
Yeah.
us, listener,
Yeah. Yeah.
is the calendars that she printed out. And I'm going to try to find my notes so I can talk out. This is what we are thinking for, an operational calendar that's not just about work, but we preach this stuff, activation, regulation. But then when it comes to work stuff, we just are all activation, not accounting for, when I used to do like my daily work schedule, when I tried to do that, I'd always never schedule eating
Yeah.
or like a break. And so then when I'd be behind on my schedule and I'd be like stressed out because I felt like I didn't deserve to schedule breaks, which is
Mhm.
only gonna, burn me into the ground. Also, when we first brought this up, and I think I brought this up to Eric before I even brought it up to you, Jess,
Oh yeah.
I was listening to the podcast, told him
Yeah.
about it, and then you said, "Oh, I was listening to the podcast." I was like, "I know
And we both
exactly
were
what
like,
you're gonna
ding.
say." Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think there might have been a little discomfort with giving ourselves permission to do something this way. That's not how it's normally done. So
Mhm.
anyway, this is it. October through November is
This
going to
year.
be
Yeah.
of the end of the year
Yeah.
and starting this year is going to be when we're doing our plans and our goal setting, the stuff that we did this January in San Diego for the following year. So between mid-October to Thanksgiving, approximately, probably, we will be going through these same exercises to figure out what we want our goals to be. The Eric and Jess and Lisa probably too. I still have yet to read it. The science of scaling, is that what it was called? It
Mhm.
talks about, okay, what do you really need to focus on? And we've been starting to hint into that, but I think this is going to be a real opportunity to really put it into practice for 2026.
Mhm.
Okay, so then we have the holidays. So let's start from Q1. January 5th through March 20th is Q1. Okay, so we'll have goals for that. And then we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break after each quarter. March 23rd to 27th is the Q1 break. March 28th through June 21st is Q2. So we'll have separate goals for that. And also during that time, during the March 28th to June 21st Q2, is what we're calling our launch period. So that'll be between April 6th and June 1st. Guys,
Mhm.
listen up because that's when we're going to do a shitload of master classes. If we do any discounts on anything we offer, it'll be then. We're going to do a community challenge on our
Yeah,
app.
that's the thing I'm most excited about is the challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
maybe we'll add something new on the platform, or we'll all go through something, but we're going to do it together, and we'll do podcast episodes around it, etc.
If I have my way, it's going to be a breathwork challenge from Mr. Brenneman.
Ooh, you can have
Mhm.
your way. I like it.
Yes.
So basically, this launch period is to kind of like get everyone up on the bus to move forward. And by us, I mean our instructors, our students, anyone in the YFFR community. So that'll be within Q2. Q2 ends June 21st. So June 22nd through July 5th is our break. And it includes July 4th. So you get the holiday just embedded in there. July 6th through September 18 is Q3. September 21 through 25 is Q3 break. September 28th through December 18th is Q4. And remember, that encompasses the goal setting for the following year. And then December 21st, or I guess you could say 19th, but I think that was a weekend. December 21st through January 4th is the holiday break.
Mhm.
So basically, we're adding 2 weeks of break on the solstices, solstice, and then a 1 week break on the equinoxes. Um, so yeah, so this is what we're gonna try, because another thing, you guys, without this, and because we were just going, we wouldn't even set goals until we were already into the year,
Mhm.
And so then we're already behind. So this allows us to set goals with very clear, what are our quarters? We get to look forward to a break. So I think that was another thing, like the reason we've been doing seasons with podcasts is feeling like there was no ending to our podcast content. Felt like I was running on a treadmill and someone was putting it on higher, 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 faster, faster, and I just was gonna fall down. So, but if someone says, okay, 1 minute of sprinting, then you get to go back to walking, you can nail that 1 minute. But if you don't know how long you have till you get a break, then it's like you just kind of give up from the beginning. So that's how I'm kind of feeling about this new operational calendar.
Yeah, I really like when you explained it like that because I think that hesitation you spoke about, like I almost forgot about the hesitation because I'm already just excited about it now.
Yeah.
But I think when we first like talked about it, I even brought it up. I was like, we should do this. But then like there was a hesitation of like, well, like what's gonna happen? Like, what if, how are we gonna, how are we gonna stop working for a week? Like, I don't know how are we
Yeah.
gonna do that? And it's just like we're really gonna have to plan forward and have things in place so that YFFR is still appearing to the public while we're off, but we are not having to do actual, work and stuff. So
Right. That's the
yeah,
important part, everyone, is
yeah,
you're not taking a break.
yeah,
Folks out there, you know what I mean? Like
right.
there will still be a podcast episode. There will still be work out there for you. So front facing, you don't have to like, oh, YFR's closed this week. I can't do my yoga practice. Like even our live streaming, we'll get another instructor, to do it.
Hmm.
This is internal operational stuff so that we can better show up for you guys.
Yeah.
However, that
Yes.
being said, for VIS people, lots of times vacations are when people like they have time. So
Mhm.
while I will not
And
actively
we
like,
talked about
yeah,
this though.
yeah,
We're gonna try to get one of the squad leaders to support you with that, so that you are able to
yeah.
truly take a break because you need that too. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. But I just want to assure people who are in VIS that their
Yes.
stuff would not be ignored for an entire week,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that could put them at a very big disadvantage.
Hmm.
Yeah, the
And
mission continues.
The
the
mission,
mission continues.
yeah.
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 So we're gonna find people, and here's another thing I learned. Anything we're doing that's mission forward cannot be on one person's shoulders or any like
Hmm.
person's shoulders, because someone could get hit by a bus. And I remember saying this to the beginning in YFFR when I was like starting to have team members and stuff. I was like, guys, it can't just always be on me. It can't be on me because what if I'm not here one day? I want the mission to continue. And so we need to see where ups, if Lisa has COVID, who's gonna do, BIS? So we do need to train people, and and this is a great reason to do it, is so that nothing changes for our students and our instructors.
Yeah.
So I want to end with our organizational description. And with everything we talked about, the stuff we're working on, the way we're tightening, let's just see if it accurately represents this description. So, yoga for first responders thrives on a culture of innovation, collaboration, and excellence driven by a shared passion for transforming lives. With deep roots in traditional yoga and a mission to demystify resilience training for public safety professionals, YFFR is determined to create accessible tools while building a sustainable and financially secure organization. The team's focus on freedom, tactical practicality, and proactive strategies ensures that YFFR's mission is fulfilled effectively and with joy. I think we're getting off at that exit. I think that we're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any last thoughts of how you guys are feeling as we start to move in this direction?
I'm excited. I think like I know of one goal that we haven't reached this year, and so it's like we have talked about all the things we've done. So maybe it's a
Yeah.
good thing to say like something we haven't.
Great idea. And I
We
actually have a
kind
list of
of,
our goals. We can tell it
yeah,
on here. Go ahead.
we kind of talked about this slightly, but not in the relation to our actual goal. But we did make a big goal for how many people we would get registered for instructor school, whether that was in person or virtual. And I remember sitting at the table all together making that goal, and I was like nervous about it. But as Eric and I have read in the Scaling for Success book, you can't make realistic goals because if you make realistic goals, you're not going to change anything and
Yeah.
actually get that. But still some things get in your way, right? So you can only control what you can control. So we made a pretty large goal. I think it was to get 20 people signed up for instructor school each month. And we have definitely not met that. There's been 2 or 3 months where we got to like around 75% of that. But that's been a pretty big struggle, but that's why we're making a huge shift next year to, we're only going to do one in-person instructor school open to the public. If that happens to sell out, maybe we will consider an additional one. But that's not on our radar right now. And so, I think organizationally, that's the smart way to move. We've kind of decreased them every year. And, because in the past, we just said yes to whoever wanted us to come to them. And, because we were afraid to say no. And so now we are, just learning that, we do have to say no sometimes, and we have to, we have to grow with, I guess, the changes in the world. And so everything's more so going to digital. So yeah.
That shift may actually allow us to hit that goal because we are making strategic changes. Like
Right.
that's one
Yeah.
of we've kind of, this is not a plug for Science of Scaling, but I then recommend our whole team read it. And so
Yeah.
we're trying to put these things into play, and by making these big goals, doesn't allow you extra time, basically. Like if it's not perfectly on target with your goal, then it needs to be cut. And so if that's a goal that we're going to set as a scaling goal, then we have got to get creative and find ways to hit it. And that may
Yeah.
be cutting some stuff out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're doing we're honing, we're getting sharper, we're getting more laser focused, actually, which is going to make this even more powerful.
And I actually think that can be categorized under innovation and tactical practicality, is that okay, here's a goal, but if we realize, okay, I know what we were trying to do here, but it's not, the adaptive strategies is actually part of our authentic code. It's not failing at something. It clearly, we wanted that to find something financial to help us too. Okay, well then
Yes.
we're gonna
Yeah.
think about it a different way. So you're
Yeah.
absolutely right that, the goals we don't hit, I don't think it's because we tried and failed. It's that we're finding a different path to the bigger
Mhm.
picture that we were after.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think the other thing is like we developed that like under innovation you came at us with that idea like let's do monthly master classes and call it the Public Safety Resilience Lab. It'll be really awesome and it was and give people more value and feel we really wanted to give more education but also to help promote the things that we have available that would enhance what they're already learning through those master classes. And it just became too much, and I think like that burnout piece was really coming into play in regards to the master classes.
And what's going to be most impactful, right? This goes back
Right.
to
Yeah.
the thing, like it wasn't
Mhm.
impactful because we didn't have the bandwidth. So I'm actually looking at some of the goals we had written down, and one was
Mhm.
improve social media presence and marketing to increase our
Mhm.
audience to new viewers, and then that would filter into more online master classes and then
Mhm.
leadership briefings. Okay, we had to say what is top priority and going to make the biggest impact.
Yeah.
We are pretty good about being as consistent as we can with social media
Yeah.
because we don't have a designated person. But these more online master classes, more was just more.
Yeah.
It wasn't leading to what we wanted, which was impactful information. So we cut them, kept the leadership briefings, which is,
Mhm.
already working great. And the resiliency lab, which our intention was like let's say we have this, really large audience, but only 10% of them are truly like really, really engaged. We kind of wanted to give something special to that 10% that wanted more. And how I think we adjusted that was instead of the Public Safety Resiliency Lab, we're doing a channel on Instagram, the DM channel.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's where I'm leaving voice notes and kind of giving a little bit more information. So that's kind of, to me, was the substitute or what we were trying to kind of do is just have a more targeted group.
Yeah, yeah, and the channel is going to be the first place where, it's going to be kind of like how we used to have an early sign up email. That's the first place where we're going to release our new instructor school dates for next year or talk about discounts or anything that we're doing in relation to that. So, yeah, if
Yeah.
you're not on there, join
Yes. I think all in all, we're doing it. We're doing the
it.
thing, guys, and we're gonna keep doing it. And I love doing it with you guys, and I love
Mhm.
those who are listening and who are part of this community. I mean, we're doing something special, and I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned for info on when season 2 starts, season 3 of our podcast starts. There's going to be some,
A
exciting
lot of big
information
things.
that
Yeah.
we're going to be revealing. So yeah, keep your eyes open. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank you.
Hey, before we go, I want to remind you that training your mental and physical health is incredibly important, especially for those working in high-stress jobs like first responders.
And if you're interested in learning more about yoga for first responders, visit yogaforfirstresponders.org for our on-demand training app, online course platform, in-person training, and more.
Like this podcast, subscribe, and give us a great review. We are so happy to have you part of the YFFR mission.